The most famous monument at Ephesus, however, is a colossal work, one that would inspire awe for centuries. The Temple of Artemis. I have seen the gardens of Babylon, the statue of Olympian Zeus, the Colossus of Rhodes, the pyramids of Egypt, the Pharos of Alexandria, and the mausoleum of Halicarnassus. But having seen the Temple of Artemis, which reaches the very clouds, all the other wonders fade before my eyes. The Greek writer Pausanias described the temple, comparing it with the 6 other wonders of the ancient world. His words sent archaeologists out to track down the Artemisium, but for many years the monument remained a chimera. Many gave up. Byron himself was disappointed by the place. I have beheld the Ephesians' miracle. Its columns strew the wilderness, and dwell the hyena and the jackal in their shade. But time never did completely obliterate the ruins of Ephesus. Though abandoned and neglected, the city has always been recognizable, and scholar after scholar has tried to identify a square or a temple from the base or drum of a column. Not everyone lost heart like Byron. In 1866, during excavations near this theatre, an inscription was found that revealed where the Artemisium lay. Unfortunately, of that wonder of the ancient world, only a single column remains. The temple, the largest in the Greek world, was over 112 meters long and 53 meters wide, with columns nearly 18 meters high. Construction started in 560 BC and lasted almost 100 years with constant restoration. The roofless, colonnaded interior housed a primitive statue of Artemis, and the columns of the porch carried reliefs of mythical characters. There were probably a considerable number of votive statuettes. Then, as now, one of the most popular souvenirs from Ephesus was the figure of the goddess, a cult idol. The Romans built their advanced cities in Hellenistic style. A wonderful example is Leptis Magna, an archaeological site near Tripoli in Libya. Thanks to the dedicated labors of a succession of archaeological missions, magnificent buildings have been unearthed and rebuilt. These Hellenistic monuments were built 500 years after Alexander the Great. The ruins here show that Hellenism was no momentary fashion trend, here today, gone tomorrow, but has left its indelible mark on all the arts. As well as Ephesus, another major Hellenistic city in Ionia was Pergamum. Excavations at the sanctuary of Asclepius revealed an imposing complex capable of holding vast crowds. They came for the miracle-working waters, waters that would cure terrible diseases. Asclepius was the god of medicine, and it was widely believed that bathing in these miraculous springs, observing a diet based on these waters, could cure any illness. The water here really does have curative properties. On analysis, it's been found to be naturally radioactive and can help cure certain conditions. Gathering in the temple, the faithful could obtain cures from great physicians of the day, the most famous being Galen. His name lives on today in the word pharmacists use to describe traditional, handmade, vegetable-based medications. Galenical. Besides the famous sanctuary and temples, Pergamum established itself as the preeminent artistic and intellectual center of Anatolia. It was this city that revolutionized the art of writing through its invention of a new writing surface, parchment. Pergamum was the site of one of the largest libraries in the ancient world, comparable in importance only to that of Alexandria. According to a legend recounted by Pliny, King Ptolemy V of Egypt refused to supply papyrus to King Eumenes II of Pergamum in the 2nd century BC for fear that he would create a library greater than his own. Eumenes decided to perfect the treatment of sheepskin to make it fine and easy to handle, and as suitable for writing on as papyrus. The result was parchment, and Eumenes' library eventually surpassed even that of Alexandria. Pergamum also boasted an unusual theatre, as tall as it is deep. 80 rows of seats rising more than 30 meters up a hillside, so incredibly steep it made the job of building it virtually impossible. Why would they have built something so daring? After archaeologists had excavated the Acropolis, the upper city of Pergamum, they realized that all the most important constructions had been built on a series of overhanging terraces. It's clear from this model of the Acropolis that at the center of this highly dramatized cityscape was the theater. The entire city had been designed to impress the visitor and heighten the splendor of the panorama below. The great altar of Zeus at Pergamum is one of the few wonders of the ancient world that can still be admired today in all its beauty. But it's no longer in Pergamum, but at the Pergamum Museum in Berlin.